Brad,
Ooh.
Brad, your time. Hit us with dessert.
All right. For dessert, we got a tasty treat here. This has been probably one of the biggest things in the music industry to happen in a long time, but especially the story of the spring. You guys have been following any kind of music at all, hip hop especially, you'll know the crazy beef that went down between, I guess you could say, almost the whole rap industry, but mainly Drake basically thinking he could actually take on everybody, calling out some big names, Kendrick Lamar, of course, being the main one I'm speaking of here, the Kendrick and Drake beef, but really just the whole beef saga in general. I just think it's crazy how, like the bucket hat, it's just crazy how this thing accelerated. Like the last big beef I remember was kind of you could say the Drake and Pusha T one, but really like the Eminem and MGK one. And like we saw the fallout of that, basically Eminem beat MGK so bad he had to switch genres completely and like dye his hair pink and just paint his, like he just went completely different, than his whole image switched up. And Drake, we've been saying it. We did the last podcast, or at least the last one that we were on, was talking about our top favorite rap artists, and Drake was pretty high up there for me. At one point, I listened to a lot of his music, but man, it's getting harder and harder these days. I feel like he's just been on a steady decline with almost everything that he does. We got changing hats over here. Is that Chance the Rapper?
Man of many hats, I tell you.
Oh, he was 3. Or
Man of many hats. Yeah, no, this is a ALS fundraiser hat.
Nice.
Very nice.
But yeah, so basically just want to go through the timeline, because this has been like one of the craziest moments. I remember this was back in early May of just, it reached a fever pitch where literally even almost my parents and people who like I would have never expected to be hearing about this are hearing about it, because it was just so crazy the amount of press and that this was getting. It was just like some of the biggest superstars going back and forth in rapid succession with absolutely foul lyrics, like going at each other's livelihood, their career, trying to put them away in prison. Like these are crazy lyrics. This is not like a game. This is not a game. This is actually like real deep hatred. And so it started off back, I guess I got a timeline pulled up here, I guess all the way back in October 2023, when Drake and J. Cole collaborated on First Person Shooter on Drake's For All the Dogs album. It's really when this whole thing kind of started. And J. Cole plays an interesting piece in this whole equation, because he kind of initiated it. He was the spark that was sort of like egging these two guys on. And then when shit got serious, he like back and was like, whoa, I don't want no part of this anymore.
I was just kidding.
All the memes of people saying like J. Cole is probably somewhere like, dancing through a meadow right now, smelling flowers. Like he's just so happy to like not be a part of this beef, because like it just went nuclear. But basically on that song, he calls out the big 3 of rap. He's calls Drake, Kendrick, and himself, claiming to be the big 3. And it took a little bit of time, about 6 months or so, till the spring and March, when Kendrick responded on actually a fire track with Metro Boomin and Feature, Like That, seriously one of the catchiest songs of the year by far, in my opinion, where he says, fuck the big 3, it's just Big Me. So clearly, like, they know where they stand, and it's weird because of course Kendrick and Drake have collaborated way back in the day on
Poetic Justice.
Thank you, Poetic Justice. Like, one of my great favorites. Song. Clearly, they have some good chemistry together. Like, but that was, I don't know, over a decade ago at this point, and they have not done really anything together. So you're kind of wondering, like, why are having the 2 biggest kind of artists in the game? Why aren't they collaborating at least a little bit? And they seem like they just don't really like each other, or clearly that's the case. So okay. That song is blown up. That's March. Cool. So now we fast forward to April 5th. And this is when J. Cole decides, you know what? I am going to go at this man's Kendrick right here. I'm going to release 7-minute drill, which is quote unquote his warning shots to the rapper. And it did not go well for him. Let's just say that.
Can I just interject? When J. Cole's big line in that was, it was something about, your first one was gas, your second shit was mid, it had them all fooled. He's talking about to pimp a butterfly.
He's calling it boring mid. Like, what? Crazy.
Complete misfire, Brad. Complete misfire.
I know. Yeah, he was talking out the side of his mouth for sure. And I think everyone agreed, because people were just flaming him. And I think it was 2 days later, he apologized for it basically and backed out. And that was honestly the best thing he could have done in that situation, because he realized he messed up. He realized, like, he's not on that same level as Kendrick. He's not in that big three. He's not on that echelon lyrically or story-wise. He's just not there. He's great. He's really great, obviously, but he's not Kendrick level. So he backs out, and that's kind of where he's going to be watching from the sideline for the remaining time of this whole saga. So, of course, Drake being Drake, loves his attention, loves the drama, loves trying to pull all the strings and play God, if you will, because he thinks he's just at the top of the totem pole. That's what he's always raps about. He's the sixth God, supposedly, right? And first of all, these guys could not be more different than each other. Drake, with his upbringing, silver spoon, from what a lot of people say, TV show, versus Kendrick's upbringing, like West Coast, Compton, hard life. He raps about it in his, in his earlier albums. Good Kid, Mad City is a good instance of that. They could not be different. And I think Kendrick, he's got that dog in him, where Drake just may pose that, for all the dogs, he may pose that, but in reality, like, they know that he's not, when push comes to shove,
he's a puppet.
Exactly. We've seen it play out. Pusha T was one that, exposed him really good on that. So Drake comes out with push-ups, kind of officially like firing back, if you will, at Kendrick's little, it's just big me kind of a thing. And basically calls him short a bunch of times in various different ways. And does the whole, like, Taylor Swift collaborate, getting like your splits and all this kind of stuff. And he also kind of takes shots at Rick Ross and The Weeknd and these other artists. So it's not a direct approach. At this point, he's saying, you know what, the whole industry, come at me. Like, I want all the smoke. I'll take you all at once, like 20v1, whatever it takes. Not sure why exactly he did this. Maybe I don't know, maybe he just can't put out good albums these days. It's like, maybe I can just do some great diss tracks and get my streaming numbers up. Who knows? But for whatever reason, he did. And we didn't hear anything from Kendrick for a little bit. So Drake releases that. It's mid-April at this time. Of course, Ross claps back with Champagne Moments. A few other artists will kind of throw their hat in. I think there was like a Chris Brown and one of the Migos thing that happened. There was this all, like, for whatever reason, it just felt like, damn, the rap industry just is coming alive again. There's all these little side battles and beefs coming out, and it was kind of entertaining. Like, day after day, we almost would wake up and look forward, like, okay, who's dropping next? It felt like something was really like building up there. Again, Drake comes out with, I think, probably one of his best out of this whole saga with tailor-made freestyle, which it was interesting because he used these AI voices on that song, which was a pretty unique thing, and it's ironic because a lot of times people are thinking that Drake's songs are actually AI because of how good it's getting and how good you can basically make any artist do any type of song with AI now. And what he had done was he basically used, some of J. Cole's idols like Snoop, Tupac, like these West Coast rappers, and using their ghosts as AI to like battle against himself, telling him what he should have, like all this crazy stuff. So definitely a cool, like an interesting concept, a cool move. People are in or out on if it was actually, good or not. But I think the concept itself is really cool. And, as of this point, really Kendrick has not directly addressed it yet. And Drake is just piling on top. So it's like, okay, you're going to poke a sleeping bear. Like, when is it going to wake up and just rip your face off, type of a thing? And we've pretty quickly found out when that was going to happen. So that happened in April 19th when Drake released that. He's basically egging him on, like, please come at me, And sure enough, about 11 days later, April 30th, Kendrick Lamar finally responds with his 6-minute diss track called Euphoria. Now, I remember I was in the gym in the morning that this came out, and I was legitimately like shocked of how many times I was going to need to re-listen to it, because there was so many bars, so many double, triple entendres in there that I legitimately had to go right to Rap Genius and just pour over the lyrics, because this was just line after line after line after line, like really solid beat. Is just dismantling Drake lyrically and really kind of like getting back into the lyrical style of rap that I feel like is kind of a little bit down these days. There's not too many artists that are really going at that high level of vocabulary, of entendres, of just manipulating words and flows. And that's the thing that, no matter how much Drake raps, I cannot get the monotone style of his flow out of my head. And hearing it side to side with Kendrick, with how Kendrick goes up and down with his voice, and he's got the squeaky and he's got like the raspy, and it's just so colorful and like vibrant, and you just I get way more hyped listening to a Kendrick song just on his lyrics versus a Drake song where I might get hyped because of the beats, because the production is really great, but Drake just comes off very monotone even when he's trying to actually be hyped. It's just not really his bag, which is okay. So he drops that, and the world is just like, that set a streaming, I believe, record I was reading here. May 2nd, Euphoria jumped from number 19 to number 1 on daily US Spotify. So people are really taking note, like, okay, this is an official beef now. They're going back and forth. And this is where it gets crazy, because May 3rd rolls around, which is a day that I think will live in infamy. It's crazy because we think it's at a fever pitch at this point. We're like, oh my gosh, like Kendrick is finally dropping mute. Like they're going back and forth. These are the two biggest in the game. We've never seen really anything like this, or if so, it's been a long time. And May 3rd comes out, and Drake drops Family Matters as a response to Euphoria. And he basically goes after Kendrick's longtime partner, Whitney, and suggests infidelity in their relationship, along with a whole other things like allegations of abuse as well. Some like pretty big stuff. Like this is no longer just we're gonna make fun of you, you're short, just kind of like light stuff like that. This is actually like allegations where on a global stage like that with your audience, with millions of people listening, like people are gonna do some digging and try and figure out if this is real or not. So this is like really adding a lot of stress to the other person's life if you're doing these allegations against them, basically. So that comes out, and Drake is living high only for 1 hour, because literally 1 hour freaking later, Kendrick had some shit on deck. He was waiting for Drake to drop, and he just completely steals the show and sucks the life out of Family Matters, which opened up really solid. Like a lot of people were giving it praise. I think that was the one where he was crushing the car in the music video, if I'm not mistaken. Like it was really cool. But then Kendrick comes. It's so back and forth. It's so easy to get confused. He comes back with Meet the Grams, still one of the most chilling song. Like I don't even want to call it a song. It's just like song feels too happy of a word for what that was. Almost like a nightmarish, annihilation.
Yeah, that's the word. A eulogy, perhaps.
A eulogy. It is this slow piano beat where Kendrick is legitimately addressing Adonis, Sandra and Drake's dad, whose name I can't remember at the top of my head right now. Literally, he's addressing them one by one, like talking directly to them, basically saying to Adonis, like, your dad ain't shit. He's a deadbeat. Like, I wish your grandpa would have wore condoms, like all this crazy stuff. And then he goes to like his mom, and he's just like, your son's a sick man with sick thoughts. I think people like him should die. Like when he said that, he was just like, you could feel the energy in his voice. He growled that word out, and then he's like comparing him to like Weinstein, and how they should get, this crazy stuff, and like basically calling him a pedo, like for the first time, like on a global stage, which there's obviously been lots of allegations against Drake. People have been saying that for years, right? And there's evidence of it too.
Specifically, Brad and I we've been saying that for years.
On this show. You all have been on
this show.
Exactly. But now we got Kendrick saying it too. And it's like, it just gets crazier and crazier. The more it goes in, the more filthy, the more raw that is. Like my mouth was open the whole time, just in shock of how I've never heard anything like that before. It was just insane. You're going after you're trying to take away their freedom, not just ruin their career is one thing, but you're literally trying to put them behind bars. You want to see them 6 feet under. Like that is, I just don't think the music industry has really seen anything quite like that. Pretty crazy. And the fact that the timing was the craziest part of, like, the song itself is insane, but the timing is even crazier, that he dropped that within like an hour of Drake dropping Family Matters. And at this point, the world is literally on fire. Every single YouTuber out there is like doing these crazy reactions. They're like up on coffee all night because it's just like one after another. People are trying to like dissect, and there's so many bars in there that it just takes a while to like dissect and figure out exactly what is being said. And that's a point where like even, my coworkers, people that just don't listen to this type of music at all, were like, knew what was going on because it was on every social media. It had the world by storm on that May 3rd, May 4th time period. And to top it off, the nail in the coffin, which people are still dancing to these days on social media, it's about over a month later, Kendrick drops the the 3-piece combo. He hits him with the Not Like Us diss track. He shows that he not only has the bars of Euphoria, he has the sinister, raw, just psycho kind of crazy energy of the one I just talked about. And then he comes out with Not Like Us, who shows he beats Drake at his own game. He out-Drakes Drake from the hit numbers, because that's what Drake would say, oh, I still have better numbers. No, you don't. Not Like Us is absolutely killing it right now. It is so catchy. He basically is dancing on Drake's grave at this point. So what? Like, so many just crazy, like, shows that he can still make hits. He still has the hit-making potential, and it's just crazy. It's crazy. And at this point, it's just a victory lap. You know, I think everyone knows, like, Drake is cooked at that point. Like, I will say everyone but my barber, if you're listening to this, he's a big Drake fan. I even bought him a hat when we went to the Drake concert in DC last year. And I was even talking to him when I got my haircut a few weeks ago. And he was on some, like, I still think Drake won type of thing. And I knew right from that moment, I wasn't even going to continue that conversation because it just wouldn't have gone anyway. So sorry if you're listening, Byron, but, you know, I just think Kendrick got him this time. But yeah, at that point, you know, a victory lap. The next day, May 5th, Metro, who, you know, Drake has also been dissing, even though he's made like half of his beats practically at this point. He drops BBL Drizzy, which is just adding injury to insult at that point. Like, again, you have Not Like Us blowing up and BBL Drizzy blowing up, like two of these great, like, summer kind of bangers right here. And Drake is just like shit. Like, I can't imagine what he must have been feeling. Like, I don't know. That's just wild to me. But yeah, people are playing those in the clubs, and even Kendrick is, I believe, a day or two after he dropped Not Like Us, I'm pretty sure he did something on social media where he took away, or he said he wasn't going to copyright claim or strike any of those videos. So they're basically free use, which only elevated people to want to react to it more, which kind of boosted the numbers even higher, which is just a really good move on his part with a possible album coming on the way maybe this year. Who knows? But yeah, it was just a crazy time. Yeah, let's see here. Oh, yeah, there was a security guard that was shot outside Drake's Toronto estate, the embassy, on May 7th. So now we're thinking, like, oh shit, like, people are coming after this guy. Like, he's got to really go underground and, like, hide, you know? And what is Drake's response to all this? He comes back, like, you know, you have to say something. Like, he's calling you a pedophile, basically. I don't know if I can say that word on here, but he's saying, like, I want you to die. Like, I'm talking directly to your son. You have a secret daughter. How could I forget that? He said that in Meet the Grams as well. Not sure if that's been confirmed or not, but, like, these crazy things. And what is Drake going to do to respond besides write little Instagram captions? Like, no, we need an actual song here. He comes back with the Heart Part 6, which I actually can't really remember that much, to be honest. Oh yeah, it's a riff on Kendrick Lamar's The Heart series. So he kind of, you know, in a way, make sure that Kendrick can't continue that series by using that same song, but he could anyway, whatever. I don't remember. I think that was basically his white flag of surrender. I would have to even listen back to that, but he kind of bowed out, if I remember correctly, and was like, I'm done with this shit. Like, oh, I'm going to be on a, you know, whatever. He didn't really even address most of the stuff, I feel like.
The way I remember it was the most memorable thing from The Heart Part 6 was that it basically seemed like he was defending himself on trial from the pedophilia accusations. And
Yes.
he mentioned something about Millie Bobby Brown, and everybody was like, well, he didn't say anything about Millie Bobby Brown.
Exactly. Guilty conscience right there.
The best, he said, you'll never see Drake on a sex offenders list. Of course you won't, Aubrey. Your name is Aubrey.
Right. Exactly.
Oh, man.
It's crazy. And he then releases the feature with Sexy Red. I can't remember what it is, but, like, that did not obviously go over very well at all. And then he decides, okay, how do I make this better? Let me do some kind of crazy whack, like, Hey There Delilah cover with my stupid Jamaican patois, like, accent that I try and do. And it just is awful. Literally one of the worst things I've ever seen attached to his name, like, from a sound standpoint. It hurt my ears.
I haven't even heard of this.
Dude,
you haven't heard of Wagwan Delilah?
Wagwan, yeah. It is 10 times worse than the Sexy Red one, in my opinion. It is awful.
It
doesn't even
atrocious, man.
And that pretty much brings us up to today, where Kendrick is not really done too much publicly. He kind of left it on that note. Obviously, it's like, I think he kind of threw the gauntlet down and was like, literally anybody in the rap game can come challenge me right now, and this is what's going to happen. Like, I just dismantled Drake in front of everyone's eyes, and it was easy to me. So yeah, and Drake is meanwhile scrambling to, he's constantly trying to take little jabs back on social media and just, making these awful songs. Like, I just don't know what's going on. I think he broke him. He really just broke him. It's crazy to me. I mean, me and Travis have both seen Drake and Kendrick separately in concert live before. And while Drake is a great performer, Kendrick's, I just felt more energy, felt more attached to, I guess, looking back at it. Even from the early days, I started listening to them both around the same time, early 2010s. Different styles, but Kendrick over the long run has proven to be, I think, I'm just that extra level, the extra gear. I don't know. I think that's basically all I have to say. That was my whole side. I just want to go through the craziness of this whole, rap beef. I don't know if we'll ever see anything like this quite again, or for a long time maybe, where they're just, this is because social media, like, back in with Tupac, Biggie, like, social media was not like it was. Like, it could not spread this quickly. Like, you almost have to wait for the CDs and the albums to come out to be able to listen to see what they said. It's not like you can hear it instantly and fact check it instantly and dig up the skeletons in the closet instantly. It's just a whole new ball game, and this is really like the first of this new generation of rap beef that is going to be more prevalent going forward. I think.
This is a round of applause to Brad for breaking down a hard ass chronological order.
Man, wow. Crazy timeline,
yeah. It's nuts.
Reid, what were some of your? Because I know you and I were also. Brad and I were very invested, but I know you were also quite invested, as everyone was. What are some of your favorite lines from the beef? I have to give it to Drake because I'll tell you mine. Family matters, divorced of context, right? If he had just done that and Kendrick had let him breathe for a second, it would have been seen, I think, as a monumental diss track. I've listened to it so many times since then. When he says, "Oh shit, maybe I'm Prince and you're actually Mike." Michael would pray that his features would change so people would think that he's actually white.
Yeah.
Oh. Top Dog would make you do features for change to get on the mic and then rap for the whites, something like that. I was like, oh my God. He did the triple switch flow. Like, and he brought some really good allegations against Kendrick Lamar. I'd never heard of the domestic abuse. But when he says, is it self-defense? When you're hitting your girl, is it self-defense because she's bigger than you?
Right.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh. Yeah. Like, that's genuinely good. But then Kendrick was like, fuck your whole family. I hope you die.
Right. Talking about keep your little sister from him. Talking like,
right.
You got pedos, you got predators on your OV ho squad, like, and you keep your child around them.
And like, that's the whole thing with it, right? Like, and I think you brought up a good point about Drake's lyrics. Like, Drake had great shots. Family Matters, I think, legit could have been a song of the summer. It could have been a song of the summer, and it just got destroyed. It just happened to be against the wrong person. And I think you can get a socio-political argument going about the state of the rap industry and the music industry as a whole, and how, you're using information that is widely sensitive and, an issue in terms of potential alleged pedophilia and, and beating your wife, domestic abuse, and using it as entertainment fodder and rap warfare, right? Instead of just like, if you knew this, come out with it, go out to somebody, bring this out to journalistic resources who can investigate it more. But putting aside the socio-political argument, it was entertaining as hell. And it was overwhelming. It was overwhelming like crazy. It was overwhelming. And
Yeah.
it's like I said, Family Matters could have been Song of the Summer, but then Not Like Us came out. And I go back to even Euphoria when you're asking me about the lyrics. I think one of my favorites was from Euphoria, where he said, "You're not a rap artist, you a scam artist with the hopes of being accepted. Tommy Hilfiger stood out, but FUBU never had been your collection."
Like, yep.
Huge cultural attack right there
Yeah.
with FUBU, and if you know, you know. But then with Not Like Us, I think one of, and especially as a sports show, this is one that really stuck out, where he just simply says, I'm finna pass on this body. I'm John Stockton." So
Can you explain that to me?
with that, yeah, John Stockton was a teammate on the Utah Jazz of Karl Malone. In this, he's basically calling Drake Karl Malone. Karl Malone was a great basketball player, huge star in the NBA. Karl Malone's legacy now is not only that of an asshole, but I'll read this off of Rolling Stone, where the Rolling Stone did an article last year where the NBA shouldn't have creepy Karl Malone at the All-Star game. In 1983, a then 20-year-old Malone impregnated his, quote, girlfriend, 13-year-old Gloria Bell, while playing basketball at Louisiana Tech University.
Yep.
According to Bell, her family declined to press statutory rape charges because of his impending NBA fortune, except he then denied paternity of their child, Demetrius Bell. It's been widely known. So he's calling Drake in that line Karl Malone and comparing him there. It's another pedophilia shot. So it's what to me was, and I agree with Brad on the fact that I don't know how Drake comes back from this, just in general. You're not when the war's over, right? Like the beef is done. You're not winning this ever. Going back to the sympathizer would close the loop, buddy. You're the USA. You can declare a victory in whatever way you want possible, but you didn't win this.
You didn't win.
You didn't win this shit, and you went in with bad intentions. Like this is this isn't working out for you. And Not Like Us was not only a banger, it's not only becoming the song of the summer here.
Yep.
It is one of the most diabolical and genius releases that I have ever seen. To not only, like, you don't let him even get a reply in to this previous song. You give it 24 hours and you release it on Saturday, May 4th around 5 p.m. Pacific time. So you know this is Cinco de Mayo weekend. People are going to be out, and you just put out this song, a club banger, right before, like right in the evening, so you can pregame to it. You know the DJs are going to be blasting it all night.
Crazy.
You put in shit like it's not only got deep political, like it's a song that not only rips the hell out of Drake, but it could rip the hell out of a lot of people and a lot of different culture vulture types. And you're putting deep lyrical notes in this, but you're also putting in just club lines. You got stepping lines. You got OV ho. You got the
OV ho.
Yeah, you have the crowds. So you have crowds of the club that night chanting OV ho. And
crazy.
Like what he did with that song was make it cool again. I would say make it cool again to clown Drake and to make fun of Drake and to rip him, because for the longest time, nobody, like, you see all these rappers who wanted to come out of wherever to take shots at him. And that was the only period of time where I was kind of on Drake's side. I was like, oh, okay. Everybody wants to jump on this. Everybody wants to come at him, you know, from every angle, because like we were saying, his last couple albums have not been great. They haven't been good. You've had like a couple of good songs on there, but overall he peaked. He peaked and the bubbles burst, and now the attackers are coming. Everybody feels a little more safe to attack him. He's not this king that can destroy you with words or destroy your reputation and blacklist you. He's vulnerable. So everybody came after him, and I was like, all right, you know what? Ignore, like, who gives a shit about, you know, if Rick Ross is coming at you, fuck it. The motherfucker's got cows to tend to. He'll be leave him alone. You don't need to worry about him. But when you just keep going after Kendrick and you're picking this fight, you have to be ready for the consequence. He is the lyrical king of this era. I don't care what other people say. You can have arguments for a couple other rappers, but nobody touches Kendrick in terms of, I think he is pure hip hop. I don't think he is rap. I don't think he cares about the charts. If it charts, cool. But this dude is for hip hop. This dude is the next in a line of, of your Nas, of all these dudes who came before him, and he embodies their spirit. And look, man, like, that's not the war to go in. Like, Pusha T was one thing. This isn't the person. This is a king. This is a king in music, not just in hip hop. And you went for him and it didn't work. And I think Not Like Us was a career, not ending, but a career altering song.
Good way of putting
against Drake.
There's a tick in Drake's timeline. There's a tick for the Pusha T diss. There's a tick now for the Not Like that is a defining moment of Drake's career, whether he likes it or not.
Yes.
It just is.
Like, I just saw, it was just a random clip from Degrassi of Drake saying like something like that's a minor inconvenience, and then like immediately just hits A minor.
Right. Yeah. So many little moments in that song.
And I love looking at how deep this beef went. Like, because I mean, even past the initial timeline, like, you can go back to like different sneak disses in 2015. There's a whole Wikipedia page. That's how big this is. It even throws in Obama, where even Obama got a question. Barack Obama, while he was president, got a question asking him who would win in a Drake or Kendrick Lamar rap battle. Obama responded, "Gotta go with Drake." Or
Drake all the way.
I gotta go with Kendrick. I think Drake is an outstanding entertainer, but Kendrick, his lyrics, "To Pimp a Butterfly" was outstanding. Best album, I think, last year.
Michelle loves it.
Yeah, and then 15 days later, Drake dissed Obama and said, "Tell Obama that my verses are just like the whips that he in.
They bulletproof. That's right. Oh, I forgot about.
Fuck out of here.
I didn't hear about that. Okay,
you're coming after the black press. Get the fuck out of here. Shut up,
Drake.
Shut up. Just shut up." And it's not over. Like, we're recording just for behind the scenes. We're recording on June 18th. Tomorrow is going to be Juneteenth. Happy Juneteenth, everybody. Kendrick is doing a one-off concert at the Forum in Inglewood called Pop Out Ken and Friends. It's going to be a live streamed concert on Amazon. You can watch it on Amazon Prime. I think 7 p.m. Eastern time. And it's going to be his first big public outing and his first big public performance since all of this went down. So you can only imagine what's going to happen during this, or if you wonder if he'll address it. I'm sure he has to. You have to perform Not Like Us. And
be crazy.
It's going to be insane. So this is just going to be, I'm sure, another dial on the timeline. There were rumors that like Drake was going to be at the BET Awards this year. When he doesn't show up at any other point, this might be the time that he's trying to get back into the culture. But in the commercials, they're playing Not Like Us. So,
I love it.
It's incredible.
I heard also that there is apparently another big name in the music industry, in the rap sphere, that is on some Kendrick type shit, that does not like Drake at all, and might even be plotting to drop something. And people have been speculating that it could be Travis Scott, because this is someone apparently that Drake has collaborated with in the past, who does not like Drake at all and might seize this opportunity. But that was from DJ Academics or something like that, some source that is maybe not the most reliable. But I think we could start seeing some other stuff happening June, July, August. I don't think it's over for good. I think we're in a lull, but I think it could pick back up.
I wonder who the funniest person would be. Like, who would be the funniest random name that worked with Drake?
Yeah,
that is then
did like a one-off or something.
Yeah,
Paul McCartney.
Listen, I think if Kendrick debuts Not Like Us at this Juneteenth thing with a Millie Bobby Brown feature,
God, brutal.
Put Millie
I think
Bobby
Drake
Brown in the
has
video.
to retire.
Oh my god, you have to.
Oh yeah,
You gotta.
he's got to go
And
outside.
one quick little note that I want to address too that we didn't talk about is how effective Kendrick also was, and Pusha T was great at this too when he did the Story of Adidon single release, and it had Drake in blackface. The cover arts that Kendrick would come out with, Euphoria really wasn't too much, but then 616 in LA showed a glove. We were like, oh, what's that glove? Is this an OJ illusion? And then Family Matters, of course, didn't have any significance on the cover art. Drake didn't take the time. Meet the Grams. One of the most diabolical things about Meet the Grams isn't even in the song. It's a picture of Drake's fucking Ozempic bottle, his prescription.
All this stolen shit.
There was a mole. There was a mole in the camp.
There is a mole in OVO that is feeding Kendrick this information and snapped a picture of all of Drake's things. They had to take it down because it was a HIPAA violation.
Right. That's crazy, bro. And that goes in to my favorite line of the whole thing from Euphoria real quick is, let your core audience stomach that. Didn't tell them where you get your abs from. And it's like, headshot for the year. You better walk around like Daft Punk. Just like, he's like, you're saying you better hide your face just like they do in, in their robot helmets, or you got to use it for fucking protection because I'm going for your head with a headshot for the year. Come on. Let your core audience stomach that and tell them.
Let them know who you are. Bro.
It's crazy. Yeah.
I think another underrated line that I keep forgetting about, but every time I hear it, it's just a foul line of Kendrick saying to Drake, I believe when you stand next to Sexy Red, you see two bad bitches.
I think you see two bad bitches.
That's
my pop ass.
Foul.
Yep.
And this is why crazy. Like people clowned him at first. My guy, J. Cole, I got the Dreamville hoodie. I love J. Cole. Love him. One of my favorites. And people clowned him for apologizing to Kendrick before anything could happen, before anything. And people clowned him for it. And then you saw exactly what Cole saw. He knows this motherfucker.
Yeah, that's so Raven
was going to happen. Right. He's and
I wonder if Kendrick called up Cole and was like, bro, you better back out. I'm giving you your chance now. Do it, or else you're going to end up the same way that Drake is about to end up.
My brother in Christ. You're going to want to stop.
Yeah. I heard Schoolboy Q warned him, actually. Q called Cole and was like, I promise you don't want any of this.
And he's just chilling. He was just chilling in Cancun watching all of this shit go down. Just watching nuclear war from his 323 bunker.
Right.